It's June 16th. The library just closed, so it's about like 6:15 p.m. right now. You know, I did a little bit of miscellaneous reading. It ain't really miscellaneous, but it ain't really what I've been focusing on for a minute, which is the history of Islam. But the book that I read like 33 pages. It's called Vindicated by Karrine Steffans. I like the way that she starts out. You know, of course, after the introduction, she starts off talking about she was counting money. She counted about $2,000. She was $800 short. One of her buddies was supposed to have given her $2,800, but he's shorter, and he claimed that he had other business to take care of, other priorities or whatever. She viewed it as his way of trying to control her. Plus, he felt some type of way about her relationship with somebody else at the same time. And all that occurred around 2015. So as that part goes on, you know, she was basically broke because she couldn't pay the rent. The rent was $2,800. So, you know, she gave a different alias for one of the guys that couldn't help her out. She called him Aaron. And she was talking about, like, you know, she was looking for apartments or other places to live or whatever. But when the time came when she had to move out, you know, she was packing up. Dude, Aaron, was being a little lazy. So she, you know, she said something to him like, "Why don't you help us stop being a black?" Some shit. Anyway, she said something to him, pissed him off, and he ended up punching a hole in the cabinet or something like that. So they had a little back and forth and all this. And he helped a little bit. You know, he went in her son's room, Naeem's room, and basically just packed a whole bunch of shit in one box, in a couple of boxes. And she felt like it was a little other than organized, plus it was a little laptop that her son would use that she would pay attention to. She would know her son's routine. So she took that out or whatever, poured all the other shit on the floor, repacked it, blah, blah, blah. And that guy himself, you know, he really couldn't help her out with finding a spot or really paying the rent and also finding another spot. So, like, I figured this guy might be Coogee Rap or somebody, you know what I'm saying? So I looked up Coogee Rap, and I'm looking up his net worth. It's like $1.5 million. I'm like, how the fuck would he not? You know, if she associated herself with stars, and not even just stars, but people that got money, they definitely not just the fucking bottom middle class. You telling me that, you know, nobody was able to help her out, come up with $800? But this is around 2015. This is way after her first book. So, yeah, 2015. 2015 or 2012, I think 2015. Anyway, so, you know, I'm like, damn, they couldn't help out $800? Make a long story short, you know, she was kind of homeless or whatever. So, she kind of made a leap backwards. And then she started talking about what went on in 2007. She first met this guy, Aaron. You know, she gave like a little background or whatever. Not really first met him, but when she first started dating him, because she met him even 7 years before that, in the year 2000. You know, she used to go to this little barbershop. I think it's a French name, but a barbershop. So I can't call it offhand. But she'll go to this little barbershop, and he'll be there. And at the salon, and then a little studio that she'll go to sometimes, he'll be there. So she was giving like a little background as far as how she got acquainted with him. But, you know, her initial perception, he wasn't the sharpest motherfucking pencil in the bin. You know, she referred to dude as being obtuse or some shit. So, and kind of like a loudmouth, you know, like a flashy character as far as his presentation in terms of how he presented himself or whatnot. And she was saying, like, you know, she'll catch him even if she didn't really, you know, conversate with the dude. She'll see him in a lot of places that she'll go to, especially at that little barbershop. So one day at the studio, he would sleep on the couch and shit, and she played a joke on him. She took some white out and painted his nails with the white out. He woke up mad, blah, blah, blah. She didn't admit to it right then and there, but later on, eventually she did. They had a little back and forth or whatever, and this was during a time where, you know, he spoke to her and they had a little talk at a barbershop while he was getting his hair cut. So, she didn't say too much as far as, like, you know, his looks or whether she found dude attractive. She really pointed out his personality. but I think she was at a space to where, you know, she wanted to, I don't want to say converse, and I don't want to say intimate, and I don't want to use her term normal, but, you know, she wanted like the everyday regular type of relationship with somebody. And she felt like he had characteristics, not really characteristics, but he had shit about himself that she may be able to relate to, and vice versa, as far as them being perceived as sort of weird and, relatively speaking, outcasts. So they kind of like grew on each other, because one day this lady named Danica Debbie or something like that, she was a publicist. She ain't all that pretty. She alright. And she got that fake lip shit on. But you know, she called her one time and asked her to come to some type of event. Coincidentally, this dude Aaron was at this event. So she went to the event, and this is where she got a little cavalier and shit. And she was like, "Oh well, you know, I didn't recognize the fact that, you know, I might stand out amongst my peers there." You know, and people started noticing who she was, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, her and dude got to talking because she heard his voice, and the voice is familiar. Make a long story short, they set up a date to meet later on at another spot, and he walked into her car, gave her a little kiss on the cheek. You know, she felt a little chills and vibration and shit. It was a little sweet. And history was made from that point. They started kicking it a little bit more. He started coming into her crib, but he had a little situation going on as well. So a lot of times he'll come through at night. But when he first went to her crib, he stayed for a little second, and then they confided in each other's a little bit more, went into a little background, a little bit even more personal background about themselves. And he was telling her how he took an HIV test one time, and he tested positive at first. But, you know, the way that she explained it, she was like, normally when you take a test like that, and if you test positive, you got to do follow-up tests just to make sure that's the case. So that's what he did, and all the follow-up tests was negative. But, you know, I guess some type of agreement between both of them happened, obviously, to where she wanted him to take another test. Now, she didn't say exactly that, but that's what her words pointed to. So he took another test, and they had to wait 48 hours. So I think they got the test from a store. I'll make sure they're still recording. Yeah, they got the test from a store, and dude had to wait like 2 days or whatever. Shit came back negative, so it was good. So he stayed with it for a little bit. Now, I'm thinking this is all still within the month of July, which is weird because that same month, right? By the way, keep in mind, it's 2007. That same month, you know, he had a little baby. He got a baby. He had a baby, or he had a woman that had a baby, and she was in Chicago. So he got some type of prior relationship as well. And I didn't add this, but I'm going to add it. She also was in a relationship with Lil Wayne. She had been with him for 6 months up until this point. So this is July. Basically, she hooked up with him in February. So, but he was on the road, of course. He's a superstar. So this dude, Aaron, had to go to Chicago to be with the lady that was having his shorty. All right. Around that same time, she had to leave as well to go visit Lil Wayne. So they both went to an airport. Went to Chicago. She went to see Lil Wayne for a little bit. So she had like 2 relationships going on. Now, this dude, Aaron, she was saying like, well, she said this later, but it's all still in the court. You know, he was, I don't know. Can't really say just a fuck buddy. You know what I mean? Because she was saying like he'll do a whole bunch of stuff around the house. And like I say, that normalcy factor, she was yearning for that. So he was more available than what Lil Wayne was. Thing is, Lil Wayne wasn't aware of this side situation. And I don't like to call it those side situations. I ain't taking up for this dude Aaron because I don't give a fuck about him. I don't know the nigga. But, you know, it was kind of like a side situation. Lil Wayne wasn't really aware of it. The reason why I don't completely call it a side situation, because she was giving him money. He was driving her car. She had 2 cars. She had a Mercedes and some other shit. And he was staying with her, so he was enjoying the benefits of what she engendered based off of the success of her first book. You know what I'm saying? Video Vixen. In the crib that she lived at, I'm assuming it was in a gated community, but she said in the book it was worth over $1 million. And also the car she had, both cars worth over $100,000 fucking dollars. You know what I'm saying? So she was a little bit, her net worth was much more than what his was. So that's why I don't really want to say it was just a motherfucking side relationship. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna throw Abu Layton and get all philosophical, because like I say, this is miscellaneous now. If this was a book that I was doing like a blog series on, I'd go much more in depth. But I ain't gonna do all that. So, yeah, shit. Hold on, I gotta cross the street, cars coming. Yeah, like I said, shit. Yeah. So anyway, it eventually hooked back up, and let me see what I'm forgetting. She was sick for a little minute. She had bronchitis or something like that, and he stayed with her most of those times. Oh yeah, eventually her crib got broken into, which like I say, I'm assuming she lived in a gated community, especially if she lives in a home that's worth over $1 million. So I don't know how that happened, but it's claimed that somebody broke in her crib and stole her plates that she haven't even put on her car, her Mercedes, probably a Mercedes Benz. She ain't put on her Mercedes first yet. The detective called her. She had a little slight panic behind that. Got that whole little situation taken care of, and she figured out that this dude must have had been in her home while she was there, which put her in some type of perilous situation. Like I said, I ain't gonna go too far on that and go further into what the fuck I think. Cause like I say, this is just like pastime. I was kind of like charging my phone up, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish the book. The book is pretty good. It's not that bad. 33 pages in. Anyway, so she had that little situation, and then she spoke to Aaron about it, and that's when he decided, well, she asked him to move in with her, in which he did. Now, let me see what else. I'm trying to make sure I go in order before I skip. Fuck it, if I forget something, I'll go back to it. So he did all that or whatever, and one day they went to they had a night. They was somewhere in Los Angeles on the west side somewhere, and then dude brother Aaron, his brother. Oh yeah. This one I forget. She did get acquainted with his family members, his mom, his sister, and his brother. And as far as Aaron's shorty, his name was Jonah. So Karrine also sent money to take care of him as well, or to help out with Aaron's, I don't want to say that, basically that side of Aaron's situation as far as his baby mama. So she'll send money to them and all of that. And she met his sister Samantha, she met his brother Jonathan, and then she met his mom Mona. So anyway, they was on the west side, right, of California one night, and then dude got a call from his brother for them to go on the east side. Now, she said they was having a good little time at that point, so she didn't mind, but she referred to the east side as unsavory, you know, a euphemism for ghetto, I guess, relatively speaking, because it ain't just a fucking neighborhood. So they go on that side or whatever, and they went to a strip club, and they was like in a little booth area, and then a conversation about music came up. Now she felt like dude was a little jealous of Lil Wayne, because obviously, aside from her having a little bit more value than Aaron, Lil Wayne did too. So a little conversation came up, and dude started relegating or degrading Lil Wayne. Talking about, you know, how he calls himself a fucking musician, he don't play instruments, blah, blah, blah. She got a little offended because she felt like it was a little indirect, like he was implicitly trying to start some shit with her and get under her skin based on his envy of her relationship with Lil Wayne and him feeling somewhat emasculated because of those factors that I just pointed out. So anyway, I still recording. So anyway, shit, you know, back and forth happened, and dude got mad. He walked off, and he started throwing money at a stripper, and so she paying attention to this, right? So from her point of view, she feeling like he trying to stunt. But she was breaking down like she was like he wasn't doing nothing but like throwing fucking $1 bills at the stripper, trying to, you know, front like he was more than what he was or whatever. So she walked over, and obviously it got to her somehow because she slapped dude. They go outside, they argue some more, they end up fighting, and he started choking her ass. So she started scratching him and all of this and that, and she claimed he choked her so bad that she damn near passed out. His brother Jonathan didn't really jump in, aside from him just saying, you know, calm that shit down. So somebody inside the club called the police. They both made it out. He left before she did. He went toward her crib. She called a cab. She asked the cab driver to get them to step on the pedal. She got to the crib, but he had already got in the inside before she got there. But luckily, he didn't take anything that belonged to her, blah, blah, blah. But make a long story short, you know what I'm saying, they got cool after that because she had called his mama and shit. She pulled a little project pack, you know, the gorilla pimp and shit. She called her nigga mama. So mama came over, pretending like she was just being so neutral. Come to find out, everything that Karrine was reporting to the police officer, his mom was on the phone telling the lawyer. In other words, looking out for her son. Because also in the book, she claimed that this guy Aaron was mama's boy. So she looking out for her son. She telling the lawyer everything that Karrine or Superhead was reporting to the police officer. So then, eventually, you know, they was like, his mom was like, let's get over all this shit. She didn't say this right then and there, but this is what happened eventually. You know, she threw a suggestion for them to get over it because they're family, blah, blah, blah. That's what happened. So that little situation at the club was kind of like not an eye-opener, but like an introduction into Aaron's dark side. Other shit happened too, but I'm going to start right there. That's just me reflecting on what the fuck I read. I'm on page 33. I'll finish that book tomorrow. It ain't too bad. But yeah, that's it. That's just like, this is all side stuff. I'm still focusing on the Islamic book, the origins of an Islamic state. Now I'm finna go in this motherfucking stove and get me something to drink because I'm real thirsty. Alright.
Are you going inside?
Yeah, I gotta get my stuff ready first. Can I get a cigarette off you?
Yeah, sure. Actually, let me grab the pack out of my car.